Thank you. All right, as I get started, click, already failing. Click. All right, as I get started, I want to say a show of hands. Who already has some SecKCoin? Wow, that's pretty amazing. Let's see a show of hands. Who's never even heard of SecKCoin? Well, that's pretty good. I'll check the way that worked. All right, there we go. All right, cool. Well, so what I want to do tonight is I want to talk about what SecKCoin is, how it works, how you get it, all those kind of things. I am going to end with a question period, and I really do expect some questions, right? So as I was putting together these slides, I realized that it's a very difficult topic, and there's a lot of things and a lot of complexity that goes into something like this. And any questions that you may have about getting started, those kind of things, the free form here. I want to give a little bit of background. So when right before Bitcoin became huge, us at work, we weren't working one day. Instead, we were trying to use all the work computers to mine Bitcoin. And so I know one guy who would go to Micro Center and buy a computer, mine a Bitcoin, and then take it back. Right, and so I really got into cryptocurrency and was really interested in it. Started to understand a lot about the alternate coins, those kind of things. Well, 3 years go by, and Corey Kennedy. Corey, are you in the house? No, he's banned. Then Corey, you are banned. Let's hear it. Corey, 1, 2, 3. Corey's banned. 1, 2, 3. Corey's banned. All right, there we go. Well, about 6 months ago, Corey was going to give a talk at SecKCoin about ransomware. And as part of his talk, he said, well, I'm going to start our own cryptocurrency. I'm going to start SecKCoin. And what Corey did was he forked Litecoin. So Litecoin is similar to Bitcoin. And he forked that repo and changed it to make SecKCoin. The logo, he came up with the logo, and it's actually at Unicode 23E3. Yes, there is a 23 in the SecKCoin logo. That's very important to us. But he forked the Litecoin and created SecKCoin, really as a way for our audience to really start to understand what is cryptocurrency, how does it work, what is a blockchain, how does it work, how do I transfer a coin to you, and how does that work? How does all this work without having to put in any real money into it? Okay, so SecKCoin was born as a way for, if you're interested in electronic currency or cryptocurrency, or what the blockchain is, or how peering works, or how mining works, if you're interested in any of those topics, SecKCoin you can get in for nothing. Right, so you don't have to buy, and quite honestly, and even though we made some jokes here earlier, you can mine SecKCoin, and we'll get into that a little bit. Currently, there is a value for SecKCoin. So right now, 100 SKC, so I'll start referring to it as SKC. 100 SKC is equivalent to about $1 US, which is kind of amazing because, I mean, we just kind of made this coin up. It's already, it has a market. If you have a cache of SecKCoin and you want to sell it to somebody, go for it. If you have some material or some product that you want to sell for SecKCoin, do it. Caleb, where are you at? Here, Caleb's right here. Caleb brought some custom-made network patch cables tonight that he's selling for SecKCoin.
How long are they?
Max 2 inches.
Just the tip. What? I don't get it. Well, they're fine. But regardless of what he's selling, it's really important that we have somebody that is selling material for SecKCoin. They have value. So really what SecKCoin is really used for is you can only buy SecKC swag with SecKCoin. All right? In the Slack channel, some amazing programmer wrote a SecKCoin bot where you can tip money to anybody else in the Slack channel for something cool that they did. If somebody said something funny, give them 5 SecKCoin, right? If somebody helps you out, give them 100, whatever. Give them $1. Well, so what that's done is that's really started to bring our community together, right? So now we have a way to reward users of the Slack channel. Anybody that contributes or works at SecKC, so we had Michael do 101, we've got our DJs in the back. There's a lot of people that put a lot of effort into SecKC every month. And before, what we were giving them, we gave them high fives. Now we give them 1,000 SecKC coins just for helping out. So let's talk about how. How do you start to get into SecKC coin? Well, the interesting thing is if you're already in Slack, you already have a wallet address. And all you have to do is ask the bot. Hey bot, so the bot's name is Tip SKC. I call it Tipsy. Tipsky, right? If you were to say Tipsky help, the bot will come back and tell you everything. Here's how you get started. We do have a wiki that shows you how, that will go through a lot of the things that I'm going to talk about tonight. But it also has commands. So if you were to say, Tipsky, give me my deposit address, it'll show you your Bitcoin address, or I'm sorry, your SKC address, and it looks just like that, right? So it looks exactly like a Bitcoin address. And so as you can see from the command I gave the bot, deposit, it came back and it said that this is my address. If anybody in this crowd were to either copy down that address or take a picture of that QR code, you can send me SKC from any client, whether it be your client at home, which we'll get into here in a second, or through the bot, or I can deposit money to that. I can also withdraw money from that address. So who here has never done anything with cryptocurrency before? It's okay, show of hands. Okay, cool. So I threw this slide in here real quick. We do have our own paper wallet generator. It is official. It's out on walletgenerator.net with all the other coins out there, Bitcoin, Litecoin, all of those other coins. But what's really important, especially in this crowd, considering that people are here to shenanigans are encouraged, is to understand that you have two addresses. Okay, so it uses something very similar to public key cryptography, right? So you have your public address. Earlier when I showed you my address, that's my public address. Anybody can have it. I could print it on a billboard and it's okay, right? So that's essentially, so this man I like. Very well done. So the public address is, you can share that with anybody. That is like saying, this is how you were to give money to me, okay? Your private address, your secret, which was the picture that was just being taken, is a private address. This is how you access that money. You should never share this private key ever to anyone, and you should always back it up, right? So if you had, if I were to give you a paper wallet, which you're looking at right here, you would never want anybody to take a picture or copy down or have any access to that secret key. But the private key you could share publicly. So I do want to talk a little bit about the bot. So whoever this magnificent, brilliant, absolutely brilliant programmer was that wrote this bot, they built in a vulnerability into the bot. And it's very important that you understand what this vulnerability is. So first of all, the bot maintains one wallet. Okay? And if I were to send you 500 coins, what I'm actually doing is I'm sending the bot 500 coins, and the bot keeps track of the user ID that received those 500 coins. So if somebody were to find a vulnerability that they could leverage, they could steal every SKC that exists on the bot. Every single one. They'd steal it from me, they'd steal it from you, they'd steal it from everybody. They'd steal it from every single one of these addresses. So the way the bot works is, as I send you some coin, the bot says, hey, this guy right here, does he, is he supposed to have any coins? Yes, he has 500 coins, and he wants to send it to her, so it has an internal database where it just transfers the money over to this address, and it keeps track of that. Does everybody understand? So we don't want to keep our SKC on the bot, right? That's a vulnerability. If somebody were, this bot lives in a Slack channel 24/7 with 200 hackers. This is not a good thing to keep your money in. The good news is that you can create your own wallet, right? So on coin.seckc.org, we have a wiki with instructions that shows you how to compile your own wallet. And what's really important about this, and the reason why I'm talking so much about this, is you need to take these same considerations if you're working with real coin, like Bitcoin or Litecoin or anything. You never want to store your Bitcoin in somebody else's wallet. Don't save your Bitcoin in some bot's wallet. Create your own wallet and save it there. So the wallet right now currently exists for Windows, Mac, and Linux. I will tell you, if compiling your own code is something that seems very difficult, the Windows client is wine friendly. So if you're running a Linux box or a Macintosh box, you can just download the Windows client and use Wine to run it, and it works absolutely perfect. There aren't any downsides of doing that, other than, generally speaking, you probably want to compile it for your native client. And on coin.seckc.org, there is instructions that will walk you through compiling the client for Debian, I think, right? Yeah, mainly because that's what I run. I wonder who wrote those.
Some keynote speaker, I think.
So the best part about SKC or any other cryptocurrency is you don't have to buy it. You can mine it yourself. And right now, for those that do understand cryptocurrency and really want to hear about it, SecKCoin has 0 pre-mined coins. And the reason why that's important is when we start, well, there's the Genesis block, which is block 0, which was pre-mined. But block 1 started with mining, okay? And the way mining works, and I'm going to oversimplify this, and if anybody really wants to come up and describe it in much more technical description, feel free. But the way mining works is this, is the network as a whole takes a look and it says, how many people do I have contributing CPU power into my network? And then it decides how hard of a problem to issue back to the group. And so every block that's generated is a cryptographic challenge. And it's pretty neat the way it works. It sends out a random string of text and it says, I need you to hash this with script. Script is the hashing algorithm, so that it starts with 1, 0, or 4 zeros, right? And if you know anything about hashing, that's a very difficult problem. It basically, your computer has to brute force, over and over and over. Try hashing it with this, try hashing it with that. And then if it solves the problem, if it generates a hash that starts with the 2 zeros or whatever, it sends that back out to the network, and the network then validates that, and then you get some coin. So, as we were going through and taking a look at how do we want mining to work, we came up with some fairly interesting things. If your computer solves the problem, you are rewarded with 1.337 SKC coins, right? We also controlled how many coins were released per day based upon how many blocks were released. And if you drink enough and you're not really good at math, it comes out to about 1,337 coins are generated per day, right? Yeah, or here or there, right? But the great thing, so earlier when we were talking about the client and that you'd have to compile it yourself or do it and download it or whatever, that's the hard part. Once you have the client running, and if you're running on Windows, you can just download the client right off of coin.seckc.org and it'll just run. Or if you're going to use Wine, same thing. But if you want to mine, The only thing you have to do, any Litecoin miner, so I just threw a few examples up here, but any Litecoin miner will immediately run and work. You don't have to do any configuration to the miner. You don't have to recompile it. You don't have to make any changes. Any Litecoin miner will work. Even ASIC miners. So who here knows what an ASIC miner is? I see a few very, very happy souls around the audience who know what ASIC miners were. Well, let me tell you something, a little story about mining. So as I mentioned, the problems that we're issuing to these computers are very, very difficult. And when Bitcoin created their algorithm, they went with SHA-256. And the interesting thing about SHA-256 is when that paper was written, that was a pretty secure hash. But what happened as Bitcoin became more popular and became more valuable, some very enterprising people, and even some here in Kansas City, that actually debuted their thing at SecKC. Who remembers Butterfly Labs? Do we have any? Did anybody attend the Butterfly Labs talk at SecKC? Those are your old schoolers right there, folks. So what they did is they made custom chips that specifically ran SHA-256. And what that enables is, so the reason why Bitcoin works the way it works and why you want the challenge to, the difficulty to meet how many computers are there is you actually want it to be the difficulty to be just about where it takes for it gets too expensive to mine, right? So the amount of power that it takes to mine. So if you were to run a video card and the fans are spinning, and you got to have it cooled. It can take 700 watts to mine a coin, right? So you want to raise that difficulty where it's actually not that profitable for everyone to mine. Well, all of a sudden, ASIC miners come out, and they make dedicated chips that run that hash, and now what used to take 700 watts on a video card now only takes 2 or 3 watts in a miner. So that's when Litecoin came out, and they introduced it's a memory hard hashing algorithm called Script. Script, essentially, if anybody here is interested in cryptography or hashing, it's a memory hard problem, meaning that you have to keep a table and say you hash this, then you move over 5 down, back up. Just if you're interested, I can talk about it later. And the reason why Script was chosen because it would be very difficult for ASIC miners to be created. Guess what happened? ASIC miners are created, and now you can once again purchase ASIC miners for 20 to 100 bucks or whatever, and you can mine a crap ton of SecKC, which I believe we're gonna. They won't tell me exactly what they're doing over here, but I believe I know. I think I got your number. So I mentioned that in order to mine, there's no configuration necessary. That's actually a little bit of a lie. So as we were compiling the clients, we also recognized that we're sending some software out to a bunch of group of hackers, and so by default, we hardened the configuration of the miner. So if you were to go to coin.seckc.org and download the default config, we've gone through and made it much more we've secured the client. What you would need to do is you would need to edit your SecKC comp file and open up RPC connections. All of that's really well documented online. I'm not gonna show you how that works, but just know if you were to download the client and run it, you're not opening yourself up to any types of attacks or anything like that. And even if you were to open up the RPC, it does limit the access to the local host. Now you can if you really and I put some comments in the configuration file as well. But you can open up those connections to the world, and I would really highly suggest you don't do that. But if you do, tell me, and I'll show you why you shouldn't have. Last but not least, did Rickson show up? Is he here? No. So last but not least, a SecKC member stood up SecKCoin. This is a block explorer for the SecKC coin, SKC. I know it's really kind of hard to see here, but what this is showing is it shows every transaction. It shows, it tries to track, it downloads the blockchain, it tries to track where money is transferred, who's, not who, but between addresses is transferring money, which address has the most money, those kind of things. And if you haven't ever done anything with cryptocurrency, I would really suggest you visit SecKCoin and take a look. So this is my second to last slide, so I'll just add a little commentary here. But even though the addresses are anonymous, and so my wallet, my personal wallet, probably has maybe 50,000 addresses in it, right? So I can on the fly create a new address. So if I want you to send me money, I can create a new address that's never been seen before. You send me the money, and then poof, I disappear, right? So while it is anonymous, everything is tracked in the blockchain. That's actually the purpose of the blockchain, is not only is everything tracked, but every transaction is cryptographically signed and proven by the network. So if I were to send you money, the network itself goes back, the miners itself goes back and cryptographically proves that this money, my money, went over to you. And you can take a look at the blockchain and prove that out. So from there, I'm gonna open up to any questions. I know I just threw a ton of stuff at you guys, and for those of you that don't have any experience with SecK or with any kind of cryptocurrency, I want to leave this with you. Now's the time. Right now is the time with SecKCoin, because it costs you nothing to get involved. You can, even if you don't want to try mining and you want to get started, hit me up on Slack. I'll send you a couple coins, or just ask some of the members around here. We can, we'll give you a few coins for you to start with. But now's the time. Earlier in the story, I mentioned that I got really interested in Bitcoin and all those kind of things, and I let it sit for a couple hours. What's this?
I heard you were telling a story, so we have to do this.
What story?
It's the first time you've talked.
I think we have a tradition here at
That's
SecKC.
water.
If you've spoken several times before, you have to take a shot of water, apparently.
That was either water or really good vodka. But anyway, what I was going to say is, I had completely forgotten everything there was about cryptocurrency. And when Corey Kennedy came up to me, I'm sorry, didn't come up to me, but released SKC, I had to start all over. And I got to tell you, right now I completely understand how cryptocurrency works. It has really been one of the most beneficial things that I personally feel have come to SecKC. So with that, I'm going to open up for questions.
I just had a question. So you said the blockchain has a crypto signature on that stuff. How difficult is it for someone to analyze and actually reveal who the transfer is made to? Like, if you were to have your 50,000 wallets and stuff like that, and you transfer 10 times, is it any more difficult? Does it get more difficult with the levels of severity there?
So that's a really good question, and the answer is, if somehow I can, so let's just say that I have 50,000 addresses and you have one, okay? And you were to send me that money, that transaction is shown to the world, and they can walk that address back to you, right? Well, then they see that transaction, they come and look at me. Well, what am I going to do with it, right? So let's just say I move it to another one of my addresses. So, that transaction, once again, cryptographically signed. No matter where I send those coins, it's going to be cryptographically signed. So if you were to take a look at, let's move into like the Bitcoin environment, where maybe I'm going to be buying drugs or something, or maybe I'm going to be buying, and let's not use drugs. Perhaps I'm going to be paying for Netflix. I'm really sorry.
He was just in Vegas.
Yeah, I was just in Vegas. So a lot of times what people will do is they will splinter coins. So the cool thing is we're talking about math. So if I were to send you one, I can send you one, or I can send you 100.01, right? And so what a lot of people will do is they will fracture, or they'll splinter, and their service is called tumblers. And so if you haven't heard of Tumblr, the way a Tumblr would work is if the three of us had 100 coins and Benson wants to buy Netflix, all right? I send 100 in, Trent sends 100 in, and Benson sends 100 in. The network there splinters everything. They splinter into 0.00001, and they jumble them all up, they move them all, interact, and then 100 come out to the address that Benson, to Netflix. The network doesn't know who those original 100 coins came from because they came from the three of us.
So does it anonymize it then?
So I don't know, any FBI in the audience want to answer that question? So the answer is kinda. So if you wanted to be totally anonymous, right, the way that you would do that is you would create a paper wallet and you would buy coin in cash, and then that paper wallet has no history tied to you. I don't know why I just told you how to secretly buy Netflix.
Hey, Bill.
Yeah.
So Slack sounds kind of cool. What the hell is it, and how do you join Slack?
That's an excellent question. So how many people on here are not on the SecKC Slack? 1, 4, 12, 200. Okay. How do we get on this Slack?
Info. You can email info@seckc.org, or you can just come talk to one of us. And we can add you manually, or you can add to the Google, add a requested addition to the Google group when you send you a Slack invite too.
Yeah, I can do it automatically.
Yeah, soon. So right now, email info@seckc.org, and soon we will have slack.seckc.org that will allow you to get in.
Post it on the Slack channel.
Yeah, you post it on the Slack channel. Request access to Slack.
You can go to DEF CON parties and then request.
Yeah, that's funny.
Tweet at us, hashtag SecKC.
Any other questions? All right.
Well, I'll ask you a question, Bill. Is the 50,000 Bitcoin addresses, or 50,000 SecKC coin addresses, just for fun, or is there actually a reason to have?
Yeah. Okay, that's a really good question. So when you're mining, let me go back here and look at the client. So this is the SecKC client, and if I were to enable, the SKC client, if I were to enable mining into this client, I have a couple options. All right. So let's just say that my computer is mining 1.337 coins. What, about once a month now? I can either send it to my public address, right? So you can see this public address, or I can have my miner every time one is minted to create a new address and put that 1.337 into that new address. And really the only reason why you would do that over just sending it to your bank account is for OPSEC. I mean, that's really the only reason. It doesn't really matter so much in SKC, but in Bitcoin, if I were to then want to buy Netflix, that might be the better way. Maybe, I don't know.
Would you save on transaction fees by keeping them separate?
So, you wouldn't save on it from keeping them separate. You would save on it if you sent it to a consolidated address. So the question was, I didn't even mention transaction fees. I completely skipped over that. So the question was, would you save on transaction fees if you were to do any one of those mining strategies affect transaction fees? And one thing I didn't even talk about was transaction fees. So back to your question, earlier when we talk about the network goes back and cryptographically signs every transaction, right? What's actually happening is that's part of the challenge that's being sent back out to the network, right? So this hash, I need you to prove that this exists. And as a function of that, that's how new coins get mined. We pay miners to validate those transactions that's occurred in the past. That's called a transaction fee. So if I were to send you 10 SKC, it may cost me, thanks for asking a really complicated question. It may cost me 0.01 SKC just to send coin. And what that has to do is with the complexity of the transaction. So if I had if I had mined all those coins into one address, I didn't have to do any kind of consolidation. I could just send this one address to that one address, and then the transaction fee of the SKC is 0.001. Now, if I were to have mined to multiple addresses, what my client would need to do is consolidate those and then send those over to her, and then each one of those would have a transaction fee associated with it, 0.01. And then I would go to the network, and then each one of those would have to be verified before the money went over. Man, that was really complicated. I'm sorry. If I ever had to listen to that, I apologize. Yeah.
Is it transaction fee flat, or is it percentage based, or can it be either?
So the question is the transaction fee flat? And the answer is it's math. So the transaction fee is determined by how complex. So the base transaction fee is 0.01. The transaction fee that occurs is dependent on how complex the transfer is. And I know, I wouldn't want that answer either. And it's very hard to compute. So actually what happens, whoever that brilliant programmer really needs to get on the bot and figure that out. But essentially what happens is it has to take a look at how complex that transaction is. Am I pulling from one wallet with 5, and one from 1, and one from 7? Add those up. How big is the packet? Is it over the block size? Is it going to take more than one block? Right. So it takes all of those into consideration before, and that's how the transaction fee is computed.
So whatever Bank of America says.
Right.
Hey Bill, do you have any plans to merge in all the latest patches from Litecoin, or are we still going to be like hashing this by hand every time?
So, Richard, do you want to raise your hand and take that?
No, I do not.
So the question was, do we plan on? So the fork from Litecoin is a few commits behind, and he's asking if I plan to merge that back. And I guess the answer is I don't plan to do anything. If anybody would like to take on the challenge, yeah, do it. It's not really overly that complicated, but I'm kind of it's kind of up to the community to do that.
How many are available? How many are out in the wild right now?
Dude, awesome question. So if we go look at so this is SKC, SecKCoin well, there you go, .in. So right here is the network hashing rate. This is how many people are mining right now. So let me just put this in perspective, okay? So an average MacBook Pro with 8 cores, with shit ton of memory, the fastest of the fast, can probably generate around 30 kilohashes, so 30 kh. Okay, it's not bad. An average $500 video card can on average mine about 900 kilohashes, 900 kh. All right. Right now, I took this right before, literally, I was building the slides in the car on the way over. While driving. And drinking. And watching Netflix.
That's old.
Right now, we are currently at 17 gigahashes. So, giga. That's over, so kilohash, megahash, gigahash. I believe that we're going to understand how that happened here shortly. Oh, but that didn't even answer your question, sir. The next tab is the current difficulty, and then the next is the coin supply. Right now there is 115,264 SKC in circulation, with 1.337 being mined every 80 seconds. You can run the math. What's that?
Who's doing that?
I don't know. But the transactions are just screaming right through. Any other questions? Does anybody plan on that doesn't currently have SecKCoin, plan on going and getting involved? Running a client. Not these guys, they're involved. So I would really encourage you, if you've heard of Bitcoin, or if you've heard of Litecoin, and you're interested in understanding this is the opportunity. Get involved right now. If you do have any questions, especially I know that there was a lot of new people here.
Hey, Bill.
Yeah.
I got a question.
Okay.
Okay, as somebody that's ran a pool before that many miners would go ahead and contribute to, and you'd all go ahead and resource yours back to the main coin, I know how much it costs to go ahead and try and run some of that infrastructure. I'm curious how much it actually, can I ask, how much does it cost to go ahead and run the collective SecKCoin logging system, the source?
Oh, that's a really good question. So right now, so let me make sure, Jenny, I got the question right. The question is not the mining equipment, but how much does the SecKCoin infrastructure costing us right now? The SecKCoin infrastructure is running on the lowest DigitalOcean droplet. I think that's $5 a month, and a Raspberry Pi 3 in my basement. Woo! Yeah. Please, if you're going to attack one, please attack the DigitalOcean one. Now, that costs nothing, right? The mining is very different, right? So yeah, it's very different. Okay, I think that's it. Thanks, everybody.